We can't forget about the avenues. I've always called the avenues the father of the Crips, and this is why. Raymond Washington always wanted to be an avenue, but he did not live in the avenue territory. He hung around with Robert Munson, the brother of the leader, Craig Munson, but he did not live in avenue territory, so we call him a wannabe. So Craig Munson ended up knocking out Raymond Washington, which was, I mean, come on, you got a 19 or 20-year-old Craig Munson jumping on a 15-year-old Raymond Washington. So Raymond decided to start his own gang, the Crips. They were from 79th, which is Natal Street, to Florence, from Compton Avenue to Broadway. Raymond and his crew would be called East Side Crips. And then Bulldog would have the West Side Crips from San Pedro to Broadway. That was the first West Side Crip, was Bulldog. Now, I say this again, if Craig Munson would allow Raymond Washington in the avenues, perhaps there never would have been a Crip.
Are people looking at this, when they hear about Craig Munson knocking out Raymond, there's going to be people that say that didn't happen. So let me ask you this. Were you there, or did you get this from a credible source?
I got it from a credible source. Alden Jones, any original Crip, and I mean original. I'm talking about these guys would be 63, 62, 61 years old. These are the people that you would talk to about this right here.
What's that you got next to you?
This is a book. This is our yearbook from 1969, Drew Junior High School. Tells a story.
Name some of the guys you could find in that book.
Okay. Well, here we have '69 books, so it's kind of here. Right here is Raymond Washington. Just months later, he would get kicked out this school and go to Edison and start the Crips. Here is Bula, Big Boo. Pretty cool guy, real cool guy. One of the big muscle guys around campus, and he was from Avenue, which again I call the father of the Crips. Raymond wasn't allowed in their gang. Here, co-founder of Bishop, my brother Bobby Lavender, all in the same school. Here we have Conrad Williams. He got really known for what happened at the Hollywood Palladium, the aggression of the Crips and what they did and how they was carrying on, taking people's leather coats, and they beat the guy to death over his jacket. Okay, holding the sign of Homeroom 58 here. We in the A8, so we 1 year behind those other guys. This good looking guy right here, that's me. I'm a little taller than the other guys, but I decided I want to hold the sign, so who gonna say what? Here's Eric Williams, the brother of Conrad. He also was involved in the Palladium thing. And right here is the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith, Hall of Famer, best shortstop to ever play the game.
For all you baseball fans. Then you got the Godfather Jamel Barnes in there.
The Godfather Jamel Barnes.
And Forehead from Denver Lane.
Oh yeah, they all in here. Okay. What happened to that? Here we go. Book is falling apart. Right here is the Godfather, Jamel Barnes. Was a Crip. He lived in Avalon Gardens at the time. Avenues used to chase him home every day from school, and then later he would become a Crip. And then around here we have Michael Berry, Forehead from the Denver Lanes, and there's Space Ghost up here from the Bishops. 8 out of the big gangs in LA, 8 of the leaders came from this junior high school. Big Mousy from APB's, Acton Park Boys, went here. AC from Pyru went here. Too Sweet from the Bounty Hunters went here. All at Drew, man.
Well, Drew raised a lot of leaders.
Drew was a gladiator school.
Gladiator school.
Gladiators. Gladiators. You wear tennis shoes to school because you fight.
Those fights on campus all the time. Man.
All the time. Cross the street at the gas station.
So what was the reason Raymond left that school? Did he get kicked out, or he had to go to the next grade, or what?
Raymond was doing Raymond. Raymond was a bully. Raymond was a bully. Raymond would just walk up on you and sock you. I mean, if you were an A student, it didn't matter. Raymond, passing by Raymond Washington, was socked in the individual. And let me make this clear. I keep hearing people doing documentaries and interviews, and they keep calling Raymond Washington a hog. Well, maybe he was to you, but he sure wasn't to us. He fight, but he wasn't rated to us as one of the better fighters.
How about Ray Boyce? A lot of people say Ray Boyce would be the heir apparent to Raymond. What you think about Ray Boyce?
I never seen Ray Boyce fight. I knew Ray Boyce. He's a personal friend. He was known to be a knockout artist.
If there was one guy you went to war with the fist, who would that one guy be?
To fight me or be with me?
To be along with you.
Give me bad news from the 60s. Give me Mark Bolden. Give me Mark's not gonna run out on you. He's gonna fight there. If you both gotta die together, you give me Mark Bolden, and the second person from Bishop, or you give me Pookie, or you give me Fanatic from Bishop, or my brother Bobby.
Good shit. Did you guys, I talked to a lot of guys from a lot of different neighborhoods, big name dudes, and they all took karate. Did anybody in your neighborhood take up karate? Bobby had a 5th degree black belt. Matter of fact, the Bishops was known. Foggy Moore, leader of the Pebbles, had a brown belt. Took it from a brother named Lieutenant, was a well-known instructor back in those days. Lucky had a black belt. Mark Bolden, I think he had a green belt or so. He was a martial art person. Tuku had a green belt. Fanatic, not only that Fanatic had a black belt, he ran class competition, state competition in the 100-yard dash and went state competition. So if he was after you, it was a hell of a way to get away from you. All right, let's distinguish something. When Bishops formed in Florence and Avenues area, Florence, Crenshaw, Florence, Western, that was a non-blood gang, non-Crip gang?
Non-Crip gang. Westside Bishops?
Yes.
Non-Crip, right.
And how did you guys feel when those guys branched off?
It didn't really bother us, because you have to understand, in our days, your friendship meant more than a name of some gang. Those Westside Bishops had merged with the Crips in their neighborhood that they grew up with. And Mark was right, it didn't make sense fighting those guys, so they became known as the Rolling 60s. To us, that just meant that we had more friends on the west side. It was no different than the original Crips with Psycho Mike, Raymond Washington, and Alden. We all went to junior high school together. We played at the same park. It's the same situation they had. Those guys was our friends and will always be our friends. My grandmother lived on 43rd and Fort Trey, and they was one of the hardest Crip neighborhoods. Jimmy the Bishop, I ate with him, I partied with him. Our friendship comes before the name of a gang. You know, back in those days, we gave our word. Now they say, well, that's on my hood. It's the difference. We said, that's my word, and your word meant everything. Four Trays would come to our neighborhood and party. As a matter of fact, the early Four Trays even wrote down on other Crip sets with us when there was a problem in Watts. Sure did.
How deep were you in total when you first formed?
When we first formed, we couldn't have been no more than 80. And within about 2 weeks, we probably shot up to over 100, 150 or so.
So, sounds like you had different cliques around. Were there any other Bishop gangs in the area before you guys grew so big?
Oh, yeah. We kind of divided our neighborhood up. Those of us who hung around the corner, 92nd and Beach, we were more like the hustler type guys. We sold the pills, we sold the weed. We were called Nine Deuce. And then the larger bishops in the neighborhood was at that time called the baby bishops, would put two B's together, and that would be called the block bishops. And then there was the wall bishops. There was a whole bunch of brick walls on that street, Ladera, and they would always hang around the wall, so they were called wall bishops. And there were also the Shanghai, the alleys, and then the Mexicans, the Elm Street bishops.
So where does this Watts bishop come into play?
Watts bishop became known later as the entire Bishop neighborhood became known as 9 Deuce. 92nd is the street that starts Watts, and we lived on both sides. So it became 9 Deuce Watts, the whole entire neighborhood.
What did you guys do for fun back then?
Basketball, the same thing that any other neighborhood do. Basketball, football. We would go to the Compton drive-ins and hang out with our brother gang, the Ludus Park Pyrus, and sometimes just be 100 of us stretch across the brick wall watching the movies and stuff like that. And basically that was it. Everything that we used to do was now taken away. The record hops, the dances, the Watts festivals was all now a place where gladiators went. You didn't have a house party that you can go to without some type of fighting or something like that.
Did you guys frequent downtown LA at all?
No, we went down there one time to join up with the Brims and the Avenues as they were outnumbered fighting Crips. We was down there messing up the theaters, messing it up for everybody. So we went and joined up with the Outlaws and the Brims one time, and that time didn't no Crips show up, so we ended up not fighting at all.
Did you guys used to go to Watts Fats?
Watts Festival?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we messed up the Watts Festival. We messed it up.
Who was we?
All the gangs. Right after the Watts riot in '65, they started the festival. We had carnivals, black businesses coming out there selling good. I mean, it was a real nice thing, and the only thing that we really had left in Watts. But of course, I'm gonna blame these guys because they're to be blamed. Here come the Crips. Here come the Crips, doing the Crip thing. That Crip thing was the pattern that Raymond got from the fathers of the Crip, the Avenues. Taking people's jacket, watches, jacking people, robbing people. So here they come at the festival doing that, and then here comes the different gangs, the bounty hunters, the bishops, and Pyrus. Now we all fighting, all at the festival, making it bad for everybody. So eventually the festival was shut down.
When did the Red Rags come into play?
I quit gangbanging in mid-1974. We knew nothing about red rags. We didn't wear rags, and if we did, we stuck any color in our pocket. We had no colors.
Did you know AC was part of Pyrus back then?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Pyrus was first Crips. They were first Crips. And whatever Vince and Putnam had a difference, they broke and became Pyrus Street and the West Side Pyrus, and then eventually would get with the Ludus Park Hustlers, who then would turn Pyrus as well.
Did you know Bartender?
My boy, knowing well, my road dog. I used to go pick Bartender up quite often, and he needed to get out of Compton. He had such a target on his back. I pick him up, we hang around all day in LA. Bishops wore brims, and if you were in Watts and you seen a bunch of people coming with brims on, then you knew they were bishops. If you seen people coming with Ace Deuces hats on in Watts, you knew they were bounty hunters. Outside of Watts, on Western or the West Side, if we had the same look, they would take us for the brims, and they would take the bounty hunters for Crips. We wore Ace Deuces, brims, and beanies, and bumper jackets and that type of thing. Know nothing about the blood.
Where does Bebop Watts come into play?
Bebop Watts came right after I got done. So I'm going to say they came in late 74 or 75. James and Bang and those guys, Big James had lived in our neighborhood and moved over there off of Central and 92nd. And Bang and all those guys hooked up and became Bebop Watts. And then later, Half of them become bebop wop bishops, and the other ones are bebop wops.
Okay, so it's a close friendship right there.
Close friendship, brotherly friendship.
Where does the name come from?
I have no idea.
Okay. You don't think it got anything to do with hats?
I don't think that have anything to do with hats. No, I never, talked to any of them about their, where that name came from.
Okay, just asking. The Hat Gang, Watts, all that seem along the same line.
Yeah, the Hat Gangs was right down the street from Bebops.